Hey guys, Samuel Larsen here from growcourse.com. We help 6- and 7-figure e-commerce stores crush their competition and profit with store optimization. And today we are going to look at 3 practical ways you can use Google Chrome with your optimization efforts. And these are pretty easy. Anyone can do them. Nothing too technical, nothing too complicated. Let's jump into this one. And we're going to start with just pressing F12 here on the keyboard to bring up a view like this. Now it might be a little bit different. You might not have this selected yet, but if you haven't, just click here and you will see a few different options here. May not be the exact same here as you have, but you will be then able to select different mobile devices. And I recommend you also press Ctrl F5 here. That will hard refresh the page. So refresh the entire page, not just the elements that you don't have cookied. And here we have the first thing. So this is the stimulating different screen sizes. And what you can do here, just looking at it, how does it look like with iPad, for example? How does it look like on a tablet form? If you don't have an iPad, this is a pretty good workaround. And then you can also see about some of the smaller devices, like perhaps S5 or Moto G4. Could be some of the older, smaller devices. As a general rule, if it works on a small one, it works on a big one. So you can use those ones when you are going over your store and looking to find layout issues, bugs, different things that aren't quite right. Not quite as good as the real mobile device, because this is still a Chrome browser and still a desktop browser trying to stimulate that, but heck a lot better than nothing. So recommend testing it out. And it's a nice thing if you don't want to always find your real phone and start fiddling with it. So that's the first thing. Stimulating different screen sizes in Google Chrome. Also works in Edge, by the way, like most of these things. Some of the things might just be a tiny bit different, but you can just as well use them there. And if you don't want to use F12 for any reason, maybe that particular key has been broken in your keyboard, you can also find the inspect element here and go and find that one. Alright, next tip then. Let's go back to the inspect view here. And just like previously, you can use this drop down to stimulate different website speeds. So for example, how does this site load on a lower end mobile device? And then you can press the Ctrl F5 to get an idea of how that goes. Now, very important to do the Ctrl F5 here, because in that kind of case, you will load the entire page again. So here you can kind of see which elements are loading first, which is very useful because you'd want the visible elements load first. And here, for example, an email sign up on the bottom is loading before the banner. And this is a huge Shopify store, address.com, one of the bigger ones. So they have obviously a little bit of a problem here with this throttling. You could also see this, of course, from the loading graphs, but this is a non-technical person's viewpoint to seeing which loads first. So, of course, it takes a little bit of patience, but you'll have time to look into these different things. And then you can think if that makes sense for your particular store. Obviously, first, you'd want to load the visible elements before the last elements on your page really start mattering. So here, I believe they got it a little bit wrong. You might disagree, but I'm pretty sure of this one. So let's move on to the next one. I kind of hinted it on this previous one. This is the network graph. And there's similar tools like Pingdom, GTmetrix, etc. But this is kind of nice because you can just take a look at it from your browser, which is, of course, something a bit more unique. And for this demonstration, I recommend to turn off the throttling now because you can better see the real-time speed with that. And assuming you are sort of in a similar setup as your users would be, this can be a very useful thing. And also useful when you go through the store. It's easier to do it on your Chrome device as it would be on Pingdom or GTmetrix or Google PageSpeed Insights or whichever tool you would use for this particular one. So let me make some room to the left so I can stay here on the right hand side. And just loading this, obviously you see it load a lot quicker. here, but suddenly we have an idea here. Okay, so it looks like 6.4 or so that it took to load the main things. There's something here coming later on, but usually those don't really matter. Might be the live chat plugin or something like that, but people are not looking to click on it 6 seconds in, so that's usually completely fine. Now you can see the different things that have been loaded, and this might be one option where you can consult your developer a little bit, or perhaps you can go to crocus.com/apply and see if you want to work with us. We work with 6- and 7-figure e-commerce store owners, helping them crush their competition with store optimization, profit better with their ads, and scale their stores with CRO, average order value optimization, purchase frequency optimization, etc. All right, let's jump back into this because we have the waterfall here, and this is a nice visual representation of which elements take a lot to load. So you can do this in a couple of ways. One option is to do this ascending, descending orders. And what I typically like to do is just start with this one, because this is the ones that are loaded first. And you can see which ones are the most relevant ones. And surely you'll pick something that is a little bit off. So Shopify Afterpay, loading already. That's not really a good order here. And then you can start seeing cart icon. Okay, that's reasonable. Homepage logo, cool, makes sense. Close drop down. Just going through these in order, and also you can often see if the sizes make sense, etc. Because here you have a right comparison of these items, and that's also good. Tends to be pretty good on Shopify, but if you're running an e-commerce store on other platforms, then they don't have the WP format for the image type, so that often causes some problems. And yeah, here you can get an idea then of these assets. And then at the end of it, you'll start seeing something like this usually, where things take a lot longer on the waterfall. And these are generally not that important as long as you have your most important things loaded. Here on the very bottom, you can see 150 requests, still loading actually. So that's quite a lot. You definitely want to have less than 100 on an e-commerce store. And generally the better it's coded, the less requests there are, because it will just be loaded at once rather than with multiple things. So it's like pooled resources. So to say, you have your browser fetching it at once compared to going multiple times back and forth. And then it gives you a load time here as well. So this can be a useful metric when you go through the store. So go into the collections page, for example. It will give you all those different metrics as just did. And suddenly you'll have a pretty good idea of how these pages are different. So you'll be a lot smarter on your store with this. And one last thing that I like to do is you can also open these in tabs and then have that be done to multiple ones. So this is one of those little hacks to go through the store quickly. And you can do it with all these different things. Throttling, you can do it with mobile device simulation, and yeah, you can do this one with this one as well. So that's all for today. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you would like an opportunity to possibly work with us and you have already had some success, go over to crocus.com/apply and let's take a look at your store and what we can do for you. If you haven't already, subscribe to this video. The next videos will be even better than this one. I have a goal of making every video better than the last one, and you're gonna really like it. Thank you very much. I'll see you on the next one.